Hello, so I would like to share with you something that is kind of fresh for me. So I had some experience this morning. Although memory of it is kind of like still far, like when I would try to remember yesterday. So not really much, but I can remember like very clear moments. So my experience this morning was very special, kind of like astral experience, but it was that special that I'm not sure like if it was really just astral experience or I had real awareness of abduction or having that kind of experience being taken. Um, but still, it was very very physical. I was aware in the experience itself, and many experiences that I have quite regularly in astral or lucid dreaming, that those are basically kind of two and same things for me. And uh, there is quite a difference like from those experiences with like how I feel in this reality. So for example, when I have like lucid dream experience, or yes, just OB, let's call it out of body experience, while I'm sleeping, while my body is sleeping, and sometimes they can feel like I am thinking like, okay, this feels very real to me. So is it really, a dream or something? That I sometimes ask that, but as soon as I ask it, I know. So there is kind of like questionable maybe lucidity, because why I would be even asking. So maybe it means like I was not completely lucid because I was asking that, and after I asked it, I was. So but still, when I get back from the experience immediately, I feel how that feeling in that reality differs from my right here. And so this morning, like a very early morning, I had experience that felt like exactly like in this reality. But it happened from me dreaming and then shifting into like teleporting somewhere. So I want to tell you about that experience. And one thing that is also interesting to me is because I see it as a part of my preparation for a session that I had also this morning. Because when I channel, I like to have a like gap in between when person asks me and decides to have session with me, and until the time that we really have it. I like to have a gap there, just for whatever energy that needs to align, that it would happen either for me or the other person. So I and also it's not like I would like to push it or hold back. I also like to feel into correct or precise like day that resonates with me, that we should have it. We could have had it with even days before and so on, but still I was feeling resonance with like I received it, okay, Tuesday. Oh, now it's Friday, but I received resonance from Tuesday, and there was quite big time difference between us, and so only options were like my morning or evening and hers evening and morning, so in exchange. So I felt that I should pick up the one where it would be her evening and my morning, although my mind didn't like it because it was worse with the time gap. It was not exactly 12 hours, so I would really need to get up early, quite early for me, and it would be quite late for her. So it still resonated with me. And then when I checked the date, I realized it was just before Valentine's. Well, for me, it's already Valentine's Day, and for her, it would be just few hours before Valentine's starting. So I find it also quite aligning, and also she wanted me to, well, she didn't ask it, but I told her that I was feeling that entity she was talking about, like connecting with, and I felt that I could channel him because he is also YahYel, and I immediately was feeling it. And getting that yes, that I can do it like with some other entities that I channeled just spontaneously, that it would go. So I was trusting it from my yes, experiences with this, and I was like, yeah, okay, I have to trust it as usually, like whatever should happen will happen, and so on. So days went going just like normally, nothing special was happening to me. So I was kind of curious if I would experience something, you know. And last night I wanted to go to sleep sooner because of having alarm at 6 a.m. And yeah, I was not so successful, so I fell asleep after midnight because I had a lot of energy and so on. But yeah, I was then lucid dreaming, and while I was playing some cricket game, or I don't know if that's the correct name for it, with some two women that I believe right now that it was Shayla and Willem, and then um, I saw I looked at the sky, and I saw like this it was night, it was during night, and so I saw also stars, and there was this blue light, like very very big and shaped into like a bird. It's like, yeah, just 2D bird. It was nothing special, just it was just shape. And so I immediately knew, like I was looking at it and trying not to interrupt my stare, and looking at it, watching it, and it was going on the sky and circling like in a big circles, and it did maybe seriously like at least 3 times. It circled and then it dimmed and disappeared, and so it was interesting. And then I was looking up and watching if I would see some, you know, like maybe dots like UFOs or something more. And I was seeing some lights, and I was like, yeah, maybe those are just planes, I was thinking. But yeah, then what happened? Energy shifted, and UFOs starting to fly into my space in that area, very low, and one even like a crashed. So it was strange. In this moment I was definitely going through, well, they were approaching me energetically, definitely, it's obvious, but something in my subconsciousness was having some difficulties with it, and that's why I was perceiving it as a UFO crashing. And then like it was kind of like almost invasion, that I was sensing some of them were on ground, and one person was going towards me, and he had gun, so it felt like invasion for me. And I was trying to hide from him, although I was not really scared, because I was still aware of that I am dreaming in a way. But I was playing like when I am not, like, let's say fully, I call it like not fully aware or lucid, that I am just going along with what's going on there, you know, and just reacting to how I am kind of like supposed to react. So I was not really scared, but let's say I was acting like I was supposed to be. So I was trying to hide behind some very small bush. That was obviously not successful, because he was just, yeah, he went around and just picked me up, you know, grabbed me. And he had some kind of suit on him, and something here on his chest. And he kind of like grabbed me by my clothes and kind of like pinned me into his you know, chest, this area, this pin he had. And that immediately like teleported us somewhere else. So it was interesting that I first had this kind of like negative perception there, but it immediately teleported us somewhere else. And after that point, like until this point, it was still not very like, you know, it was like dream, you know, it's sometimes dimmed, you know, not very much light for me, doesn't happen that much. It depends. So it was this kind of experience or type of lucid moment that where there was not light much, or I was not seeing that much or perceiving with my sight. And then it shifted into really seeing very very clearly. and not just seeing, it seriously felt like so completely physical and real, like this experience. But I knew, like, because I was aware that I was dreaming before, that I was not in my body. I was very aware that this is not normal space where I should be in, and so on. So I knew, well, and I also felt that kind of like teleport thing. So I appeared there, and I went through some kind of like a checking with some woman or something, like he checked us in. So it was strange, checked us in. And he was, he was very like a loving or beautiful being, and I was still perceiving him kind of like human looking, but he was joking. He was asking me like if I was elf, and I was like no, and he was like, yeah, I am elf. So I'm like, okay. So it was funny. And I then, maybe because he said that he was elf, I perceived like he has like a little bit pointy ears. So yeah, that was interesting. But now the experience was very stable, so stable that I didn't need to ground, I didn't need to focus on anything. Like in this normal reality, you are not focusing on grounding, and you are still here, it doesn't collapse and anything. So I was not focusing on anything like this, and I was just looking around, walking. I felt my physical body there, like completely. I was not really losing any, yes, groundedness, that my body would be getting less dense and so on. And then he walked me through space a little bit, and it was more like with the wood, built of wood, and then there were also like maybe carpets, or yeah, the parts of it was also like a clothes, or yeah, I don't know how to say it. So it was very cozy feeling, like in some kind of hotel. Hotels, or from my perspective, look like yeah, they have maybe these wallpapers or something, that it's really cozy. And but design was not very usual, and there were also places like some steps, and I was like, yeah, actually, this is like how I would imagine steps leading to spaceship, but there is not spaceship. There's some balcony kind of like other level, and there are flowers. And right now, I think that it was actually masked spaceship actually there. Like I was maybe in a hangar, or how to say it in English. I hope that's word in English. And probably there was spaceship. That's why I even thought of it. But it was very kind of like, yeah, just being familiar in a human way to me. And then he led me to some room where was some meeting, and I was supposed to be there. And there were many other beings there. Well, I all of them perceived as a humans, and again, I was very stable there, and I went to sit at some chair, and there was a woman that I was perceiving as a certain actress. I am not sure which one right now, but I was clearly seeing her, and also others. And I was very I'm not very social person, so I was not very much interacting with them, and I was shy, socially shy, in that moment. And I was just listening to them, like what they were talking about, and if someone would tell me like what was going on there, like why we were there, what was going to like happen, and something like that. And I was sitting there, like, seriously, still amazed, like, this is so fucking real, and I was aware that I am not really in my body, that I should be sleeping, but yeah, it was so physical that, yeah, I was just watching, like, what's going on? And then at some point I was even, like, trying to feel my own physical body, because when I'm having lucid experiences, sorry, I'm a little bit shaking right now. I can feel my physical body. Like I can feel it at the same time while I'm dreaming. That's maybe like I'm trying to relax my physical body so I can still be like projecting myself outside in a way. But I was not feeling my physical body, and the body that I was having there was feeling very physical. And just for a moment, I started to have some kind of like a little bit vibrations through my body that I was like, yeah, that's interesting. Like, and usually I would, when I would do this, I would completely be like pulled out of that experience and lose it, you know. And so I was very amazed, you know. And I was talking, I was well trying to talk to some people and so on, blah blah. I will skip that because and one thing that was also very interesting about it is that usually when I am lucid dreaming and having this kind of experience, I go through spaces and they shift. Like I walked maybe from one room to another and it shifts, like environment shifts. Or when I walk into one room and then want to return to the previous one where I was, it all changes, you know, constantly. And this was everything so fucking stable, like this house. Seriously, that's why I was also amazed. It was not changing at all. And then at some point I was yeah, the guy also walked me again a little bit around, and we went back probably into the same room or some other, I'm not sure right now, but we were given some kind of test. And I was also reading it, and I was surprised that I could actually read it, because many times, like when I am trying to read, either I don't see it precisely, or as I read it, it's all completely shifting, or it's gibberish, or you know. And I was reading this, and it was making some kind of sense, but it was difficult. So I think it was not precise, like what was really written there, and it was again my subconsciousness somehow translating it into something else. But it was something very difficult, like biological stuff that I was feeling like I have no idea what this is, you know. I don't have this knowledge. So I was you know, like pulling it away, and I was eating soup uh, because there was also like a food around also before that. It was not just like a meeting, but it was like with the dinner or something. So I was eating some kind of soup, and then someone asked me like why I am not filling up that form or test or whatever. And then I stood up and I started to get dramatic, like, because I still was not, you know, I was feeling awkward because I had absolutely no idea what I was doing there still and what was going on, because nobody told me, or I didn't ask really, but I was trying to, you know, figure it out somehow, like that someone would tell me. And so I just stood up with it and just threw it away, and I was like, I cannot read this, or something in that sense. It's bullshit, and what the fuck even am I doing here? Before I was dreaming, and I was seeing this flying thing in the sky. Then there was this invasion person with a gun, and then he teleported me here. I have no idea what I'm doing here. And that guy who brought me there again grabbed me and took me out away from there. Well, it was not immediately, sorry. It was not immediately. And the person like ignored. Well, it was not completely like drama that I was be really mad or something again. It was more like I was just playing it, you know. And then the person that was standing there and giving us those tests and also asked me why I'm not filling it up. I think it was female, and and then was pointing on the board, whiteboard, not blackboard, whiteboard, and and this was definitely a message to me, because it was like a UN list of states that there are in UN, in like United Nations. And I'm not very like knowledgeable if Slovakia is there or not. I checked it already, yes, of course, but I even don't know like what it is for and so on. But yeah, United Nations is obvious. It's something that unites, should unite the world or something in that sense. Well, that's how it sounds. And she was telling me, well, yeah, your country is not here. Look at here, and so. And she suggested that it's important that your country will get into UN, like United, let's say state. And when I woke up, I realized, okay, she was obviously talking about me, not my country. Although I was first thinking that it was my country because some not nice things are happening here, because we have just before elections into parliament, and so I was thinking that maybe it was related, but I think it's not, because as I was telling in a previous video that I needed some kind of space, to pull back from a certain, experiences that I was experiencing with the people, how they were kind of like using me or having psychic attacks and so on. I needed to pull from kind of like everyone, and I needed that space and boundary, very wide boundary, to reconcile and to feel space where I can build my confidence and stuff, and just investigate myself, whatever, blah blah, and I feel that it was suggesting me to not push too much, or because some of my boundaries are created by judging other people, and I am creating that boundary from distrust, let's say. So I feel like, yeah, and I was feeling it that I, I was getting some kind of also physical blockages from this, but I was thinking like I'm not sure how to trust basically people before, But yeah, I feel she was suggesting me to maybe to have more experiences, blah blah, like this or whatever, to progress in my life in a better way, that I need to feel more connected with the whole other people and so on. So that was a message for me, I felt. And so then guy took me from my dramatic, expression, and because I was asking like why I'm even here, why I'm here, what's going on. And so he wanted to show me something like that I belong there, because I was asking with the question or feeling that maybe I shouldn't be even there. I don't remember that I was on other meetings before and so on, because it was obvious, like even someone asked just in the beginning when I got there. It's almost like I was last that they were waiting for. Someone asked like how many of you are remembering being here before, as something like in that sense. I was like, so obviously I was here, but I don't remember. uh, so he brought me to that lady that we first met, like when he checked us in, and he asked her to show me something. And but first it was like they have an I was supposed to have also something like tattooed on my forearm, but it's not visible, but it's visible after some kind of like a trigger, with either, I don't know, some technological trigger, let's say, and it would light up like some letters, and it would show me like my importance, basically. That was a feeling that he was giving me. What is my importance, role or profession or whatever, but importance was the word keyword there. And also he asked her to show me first hers, and so she really put her arm under something, and it was revealing like almost like fluorescent or shining letters on her forearm. uh, and it was funny, like I was losing that experience in a way, because I went into kind of some kind of frustration and so on, and that's always like why I kind of like am not grounded properly. It's not that I would be choosing it like in this experience, but it's something, maybe I have some nervousness under beneath that I can solve just like that, uh, so yeah, it was already getting less vivid in that moment, and I was then just waiting like, yeah, finish it already, please, like hurry up or something in that sense. So I was getting ungrounded, and before she was able to finish it, threw me away, and I woke up. But still, when I woke up, I was seriously amazed how it all felt, because it was seriously, it probably wasn't like a physical experience. I seriously don't know, because of how really strong, like real it was. But still, it's almost like it feels like it, like if I would imagine, because as I was saying also in some other videos, when I had some different kind of experience that I didn't feel like they were just lucid dreams or something in that sense, and yeah, Shayla confirmed it through Rob got here, but who knows, like seriously, like, I cannot really say, even though she confirmed it through him, like if it's really true. um, but yeah, there are, how you can have physical experiences, and how you perceive them. They still feel kind of like a very, like you are not completely either aware or aware in that moment. You remember just afterwards it happens, and the memory of it is kind of like a little bit shifted, or in some kind of change. You don't see everything, you maybe feel just something that is happening, and you lose your vision and something like that. So it can happen in various ways. So I am thinking, like, what if the dream that I was having, first like initiation in a lucid dream with that thing that I was looking with my eyes, and then that invasion, what if that invasion, he coming to me, was not just in my dream, but he really was in my room and coming towards me in a physical way and took me in some way. That could really be it. And who knows, like, what then was happening at the end, like when I suddenly appeared in my body. Who knows, maybe that moment when I was losing kind of like that connection and lucidity and vividness, maybe there was even some kind of gap, there. If that was really like a physical experience and they needed to get me back in some way, maybe they showed me something that I already was not remembering, and it turned me off, turned my memory off, and then he just returned me here, the same way that he took me, basically. So I don't know, but that experience was definitely like so physical that I never experienced before in an astral, or no focus on trying to ground, and even reading words, everything was so fucking stable. Sorry for the word, but it was seriously like this reality. So it's also what is interesting, that I had this experience just before that session that I was getting before that. Yeah, probably there can be, some kind of like adjustment or whatever that I can have before session, because it can happen before any session. But what is surprising, because when people get sessions with me, they usually have some kind of experiences in their dreams or energetically and whatever afterwards, like after my channeling, few days after, they have experiences, and I'm always like, I don't have anything. I don't get it. And right now I got this, for example. So it's amazing, because it was already like before session, and yeah, it was like 2 hours before having session I had this experience. So that was fascinating also itself, like, yeah, because I'm pretty sure that it was related with it. I don't know how, but still it was interesting that it aligned with it. So maybe, like, if I wouldn't have that session, then I probably wouldn't have even this experience. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's my sharing. Yeah, 30 minutes, sorry for length, and I hope it's lookable that and likable to watch me in this video. So yeah, so I guess that's all. And session was nice. I liked it, and it seemed to end up successfully, because person was even like, I got good feedback, like yeah, encouragement or something that sounds like that I was really good. So I didn't expect it, and I was happy about it and surprised that someone told me immediately, and I felt it, that this person was really acknowledging that I was channeling it really well. So So I liked it, that it was not just, you know, from like a what is the word, you know, to please me, or what is maybe you feel like you are supposed to say, or something in that sense. So I was happy about that. So I will not prolong it anymore. So yeah, soon I will make something new again, some video, and see you next time.